A chosen woman carries a grace that cannot be shaken by temporary moments of pain, and even when she is wounded, the core of who she is remains untouched. Her value does not decrease because someone failed to recognize it. Her worth does not diminish because someone mishandled her heart. She moves with a depth that is rare, and that depth does not disappear simply because someone was too distracted, too broken, or too immature to honor it. A chosen woman is built in a different way. She stands on foundations that do not collapse from disappointment. She might bend, but she does not break. She might cry, but she does not crumble. She holds within her the kind of strength that grows in silence, the kind of resilience that is born from generations of endurance, the kind of wisdom that pain can polish but never destroy. Her spirit is not defined by what she experiences, but by what she overcomes. And when she is hurt, she does not lose her identity. She remembers it even more clearly. When a chosen woman is wounded, time pauses around her, but her essence keeps rising. She feels deeply because she loves deeply, yet she does not allow her hurt to become her home. She processes, she reflects, and she transforms. Her heart was never designed to stay broken. It was designed to heal and expand. She understands that pain is not a verdict but a doorway, and she walks through it with quiet strength. She does not allow someone else's behavior to rewrite the truth about who she is. Even in the moment she questions herself, something inside her whispers that she was made for more than heartbreak, more than confusion, more than the emotional chaos that others may bring into her life. Her identity is connected to purpose, not to the inconsistency of another person. A chosen woman carries an internal knowing, a sense that she is connected to something greater than this momentary hurt. That knowing becomes her anchor. She does not collapse beneath the weight of someone else's actions because her foundation was built long before that person arrived. She came into the world with a light that cannot be dimmed, an intuition that warns her, a spirit that guides her, and a destiny that continues to unfold. When someone wounds her, she does not lose herself. She finds herself in deeper ways. Pain becomes the mirror that shows her what she ignored, what she tolerated, and what she must rise above. She becomes more aware, more awakened, more aligned with her own truth. Her value cannot be diminished by someone's failure to treat her well. A chosen woman is not defined by the approval or affection of a man. She does not need validation to confirm her worth. She does not need apologies to make her whole. She does not need explanations to stand tall. She knows who she is even when someone else forgets. She knows her power even when someone tries to undermine it. She knows her purpose even when someone cannot comprehend it. The hurt she experiences does not reduce her. It redirects her. It sets her on a path where she remembers her own light, her own strength, her own voice. She learns that her heart is a sacred place and only those who honor it deserve to enter. A chosen woman carries a love that is pure, loyal, and transformative, and when someone harms her, that love does not disappear, it grows wiser. She becomes more careful with the energy she gives, more selective with the people she allows close, more protective of the peace she cultivates. Her pain teaches her discernment. It teaches her to see beyond charm and look for character. It teaches her to distinguish between someone who desires her and someone who values her. Through hurt, she becomes more aligned with her higher self, more connected to her intuition, more confident in her ability to walk away from what does not honor her soul. Even when she is wounded, she continues to rise because rising is in her nature. She does not stay defeated. She evolves. She does not hold on to bitterness. She releases it. She does not drown in despair. She swims through it. Her pain becomes a quiet revolution inside her, pushing her toward healing, clarity, and growth. She emerges with a deeper understanding of herself, a stronger connection to her purpose, and a higher level of self-respect. Nothing she goes through diminishes her value. Nothing someone does to her rewrites her identity. Nothing she experiences can remove the light she carries within. A chosen woman is defined by her purpose, not by her pain, and every moment of hurt becomes the soil where her strength grows even deeper. When a man hurts a chosen woman, he is not simply making a mistake in a moment of weakness. He is distancing himself from a blessing that was meant to elevate him. A chosen woman carries an energy that is rare, a presence that strengthens everything around her. Her love is not ordinary, it is nurturing, inspiring, and grounding. When she enters a man's life, she brings clarity where there was confusion, peace where there was chaos, and direction where there was uncertainty. She does not just accompany a man, she uplifts him. She does not just stand beside him, she empowers him. And when he wounds her emotionally, spiritually, or through neglect, he separates himself from the very force that was designed to guide him into his higher potential. Many men do not realize the depth of what they are losing in the moment they choose to hurt such a woman. A chosen woman has a way of seeing a man not as he is, but as he could be. She believes in his potential even when he cannot see it himself. She supports him in ways that others overlook. She gives to him with sincerity, loyalty, and devotion. Her presence is a mirror that reflects the greatness inside him, the possibilities within him, the man he is capable of becoming. When he hurts her, he is not just dismissing her emotions, he is rejecting the version of himself she was helping him grow into. He is shattering the foundation of trust that she built with patience and love. He is damaging the connection that could have expanded his life, his vision, and his purpose. Hurting such a woman is not just an act against her, it is an act against his own future. When a man causes pain to a chosen woman, he interrupts a divine alignment. Her energy is meant to bring balance to his path. Her presence is meant to help him see clearly. Her intuition often protects him from decisions that could harm him. Her wisdom guides him in ways he may not even understand. To wound her is to turn away from that guidance, to disconnect from that wisdom, to block the flow of blessings that were attached to her presence. Sometimes a man only realizes this when the noise clears, when the distractions fade, when the temporary thrills disappear, and he is left with the quiet awareness that he pushed away something sacred. He begins to feel the absence of her light, the emptiness of her silence, the weight of her absence. A chosen woman does not love halfway, she loves with fullness and depth. She invests her emotions, her time, her energy, and her spirit into the connection. Hurting her does not just create emotional wounds, it fractures the spiritual bond that she was nurturing. And when that bond breaks, the man often feels a shift in his own life. The blessings that once came easily are now delayed. The clarity he once felt becomes clouded. The peace he experienced when she was by his side is replaced with restlessness. Life starts to teach him in ways he never anticipated. He begins to understand that certain women are not replaceable, that certain energies do not return once pushed away, that certain hearts do not open again once broken. When he distances himself from a chosen woman, whether through betrayal, neglect, dishonesty, or emotional immaturity, he steps out of alignment with the path he was meant to walk. Her presence was not simply emotional support, it was a spiritual elevation. She brought growth, reflection, and transformation into his world. Without her, he loses not just companionship but purpose. He loses not just affection but direction. He loses not just connection but clarity. A chosen woman's energy is like a compass that guides a man toward becoming the best version of himself. Hurting her removes that compass from his life. A man may try to move on quickly, distract himself, or pretend he feels nothing, but life has a way of revealing the truth in time. He begins to notice the difference in the quality of his connections. He realizes that no one understands him the way she did. No one listens like she did. No one stands with him through his storms the way she did. He starts to feel the distance between who he is and who he was becoming when she was in his life. He understands that he pushed away a blessing that was meant to help him rise, not restrict him. Hurting a chosen woman is never a neutral act. It shifts his path, disrupts his peace, and removes the very light that once illuminated his steps. When a chosen woman rises from pain, she does not rise the same. She rises with clearer eyes, a sharper mind, and a deeper connection to her own spirit. Heartbreak does not diminish her, it awakens her. It strips away illusions she held onto, it dissolves the fog of false hope, and it reveals the truth that she may have ignored for the sake of love. When she is hurt, something powerful happens within her. She begins to see herself differently. The pain becomes a teacher that speaks loudly in moments of silence, reminding her that she was never meant to settle for emotional neglect, confusion, or inconsistency. She becomes more aware of her own boundaries, her emotional needs, and the depth of her own strength. What once broke her now becomes the force that rebuilds her from the inside out. A chosen woman does not collapse under the weight of heartbreak. She may fall to her knees, but she rises with purpose. She may cry, but her tears cleanse the parts of her soul that were holding on to someone who could not hold her properly. She begins to reflect deeply on what she allowed, what she tolerated, and what she must never permit again. Pain clarifies her vision. It removes the filters of hope and exposes reality. Through her hurt, she learns the patterns she overlooked, the signs she ignored, and the truths she avoided. She comes out of the experience with a renewed sense of self-awareness, understanding that her heart deserves protection, not abandonment. Her spirit becomes stronger, not because she wanted the pain, but because she learned how to rise through it. A chosen woman's healing process is not rushed. She does not force herself to forget. She allows herself to feel, to process, to accept, and to transform. She begins to listen to her intuition more than ever before because she realizes that her intuition tried to warn her long before her heart caught up. She reconnects with her faith, her grounding, her inner wisdom. She becomes more aligned with her purpose, more connected to her identity, more confident in her ability to love herself deeply. Her healing is not about moving on quickly, it is about moving on correctly. She gathers every broken piece of herself and rebuilds with intention, creating a stronger version of who she once was. A chosen woman rises from heartbreak with a deeper understanding of the kind of love she deserves. She no longer entertains inconsistency under the name of loyalty. She no longer accepts emotional breadcrumbs when she was created to receive a full, honest, unwavering love. She becomes more selective with her energy, more protective of her peace, and more aware of the value she brings into someone's life. Her pain teaches her that her love is not something to be mishandled. It is a sacred offering that requires a man who is mature enough to receive it, strong enough to hold it, and wise enough to cherish it. Through her healing, she discovers a new standard for herself, one built not on fear or hope, but on truth and self-respect. As she rises, her spirit becomes illuminated. She stands taller not because she is trying to prove anything, but because she remembers who she is. The pieces of her that once felt weak now feel powerful. The parts of her that once felt misunderstood now feel validated by her own awareness. She begins to move differently, more thoughtfully, more confidently, more fearlessly. She realizes that the pain she endured did not break her. It broke the version of her that was willing to shrink for someone else's comfort. The hurt she experienced becomes a turning point, pushing her into a season of personal evolution. She starts to embrace the truth that she was always more than almost more than someone's convenience, more than someone's temporary comfort. A chosen woman does not return to who she was before she was hurt. She evolves into someone deeper, wiser, and more powerful. Her spirit becomes grounded in self-love. Her heart becomes anchored in clarity. Her mind becomes free from illusions. She rises from pain with a newfound sense of identity, understanding that her worth was never tied to how someone treated her. Her purpose becomes louder than her heartbreak. Her strength becomes greater than her wounds. Her future becomes brighter than her past. Through the fire of pain, she discovers the truth of her own resilience. And that truth becomes the foundation of the woman she becomes next. Pain has a way of opening doors inside a chosen woman that she never knew existed. And when she is hurt, something profound begins to unfold within her spirit. What she experiences is not simply emotional suffering, it is an awakening. The hurt becomes a spotlight that shines on the truth she ignored, the patterns she tolerated, and the boundaries she did not reinforce. Pain awakens her to the parts of herself she forgot, the strength she overlooked, and the intuition she silenced for the sake of love. When someone wounds her, she does not just feel the sting of the moment. She feels the call to rise deeper into who she truly is. Her heart begins to question, her mind begins to observe, and her soul begins to recognize the lessons she was meant to learn. This awakening is not gentle. It breaks her illusions, but it also rebuilds her identity. Through her hurt, she begins to see the difference between what she wanted and what she truly deserved. She recognizes that the love she gave was pure, but the love she received was conditional. She realizes that she may have poured into someone who could not pour back, trusted someone who could not handle her heart, stayed attached to someone who did not know how to value connection. Pain becomes the mirror that reflects the emotional imbalances she had been carrying silently. It forces her to confront the moment she overlooked her own needs just to protect the relationship, the time she silenced her intuition because she hoped for change, and the parts of herself she abandoned while trying to hold on to someone who was slipping through her hands. Her awakening comes from the realization that the love she gave cost her parts of herself she can no longer afford to lose. As she navigates through her hurt, she begins to understand her own patterns with a clarity she did not have before. Pain teaches her to identify the red flags she once ignored, the emotional inconsistencies she once excused, and the behaviors she once justified. She starts to recognize her worth with a depth that was previously clouded by her desire to love. She gains insight into her own heart, understanding that she deserves a love that matches her energy, honors her presence, and values her essence. She becomes aware of the emotional labor she carried, the effort she made, and the sacrifices she offered without receiving the same in return. Pain awakens her to the truth that she cannot build a stable future with someone who does not build with her, support her, or grow alongside her. A chosen woman's awakening is deeply spiritual. It reconnects her to her higher self, the part of her that knows she was not created to chase love or compromise her dignity. Through pain, she taps into her intuition with renewed strength. She begins to trust the inner voice she once pushed aside. That voice tells her when something feels off, when a connection is draining her, when her spirit is being neglected. She becomes more sensitive to the energy around her, more selective with the people she allows into her inner world, more protective of her peace. Pain awakens her to the understanding that not everyone who enters her life is meant to stay, and not everyone who claims to love her knows how to love her. This awareness becomes her shield, her guide, and her source of strength. As she awakens, she begins to understand that her pain is not a punishment, it is a revelation. It reveals the truth about the person who hurt her, but more importantly, it reveals the truth about who she is becoming. She realizes that her heartbreak is the breaking of old versions of herself, versions that accepted less than she deserved, versions that believed love required suffering, versions that stayed quiet when she should have spoken up. Her awakening pushes her to reclaim her power, rebuild her boundaries, and rise with a clearer sense of identity. She no longer tolerates emotional confusion or half-hearted affection. She becomes a woman who knows what she wants, what she needs, and what she will no longer entertain. Pain awakens her to the beauty of her own resilience. She begins to see that she survived what she thought would destroy her, and in that survival, she discovers her strength. She realizes that her heart can break but still beat with purpose. Her spirit can be wounded but still stand strong. Her mind can be troubled but still find clarity. This awakening brings her into alignment with the woman she was always meant to be: stronger, wiser, more intuitive, more grounded, and more connected to her purpose. Through her hurt, she steps into a deeper version of herself, discovering that the pain she endured was not the end of her story, but the beginning of her transformation. A chosen woman's relationship with closure is different because she understands that true closure does not come from another person, it comes from within. She doesn't wait for apologies that may never come, and she doesn't beg for explanations from someone who was careless with her heart. Instead, she learns to create her own ending, her own peace, her own clarity. When she is hurt, she may initially look for answers, wondering why things unfolded the way they did, questioning what she could have done differently, trying to piece together the parts of a story that no longer make sense. But with time, she realizes that the closure she is seeking from another person is actually a responsibility she must take on herself. She begins to understand that no apology, no confession, no conversation has the power to heal her the way she can heal herself. When a chosen woman decides to create her own closure, something shifts inside her. She realizes that waiting for someone else to free her keeps her emotionally tied to a situation that already ended. She understands that peace cannot depend on another person's maturity, consistency, or willingness to take accountability. She refuses to give someone else the power to decide when her healing begins. She reclaims her emotional independence by stepping out of the cycle of overthinking, replaying memories, and hoping for things to make sense. She chooses to free herself by accepting that the answers she seeks may never be spoken, but the truth she feels is enough. This acceptance becomes the beginning of her liberation. A chosen woman learns that closure is not a conversation, it is a decision. It is the moment she decides to stop reopening the wound by searching for explanations that would only deepen her pain. She recognizes that some people cannot give closure because they lack self-awareness, emotional accountability, or the courage to confront the damage they caused. Some avoid responsibility. Some minimize the harm. Some run from the truth. But a chosen woman does not chase after people who cannot meet her with honesty. She realizes that seeking closure from someone who hurt her often leads to more hurt, not healing. So she chooses to protect her heart by closing the chapter herself. She writes her own ending, one that honors her dignity, her truth, and her emotional well-being. When she releases the need for someone else to fix the damage they caused, she steps into her power. She stops waiting for clarity and creates clarity. She stops holding on to hope and embraces reality. She stops expecting someone to return what they took from her and learns to rebuild from within. She finds strength in the decision to move forward without permission. She understands that closure is not a gift someone gives her, but a gift she gives herself. Her self-respect becomes the foundation of her healing, guiding her away from situations that drain her and toward experiences that nourish her. She no longer needs someone to tell her it's over. She decides when it's over by choosing to walk away emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. As she begins to heal herself, she learns that closure also comes from reclaiming her narrative. She shifts her perspective from "why did this happen to me" to "what did this teach me about myself?" Instead of seeing the hurt as a failure, she sees it as a revelation. She gains understanding about her own patterns, her emotional needs, and the boundaries she must enforce in the future. She sees the situation not as an ending she cannot understand, but as an experience that prepared her for the next level of her life. Her healing becomes deeper because it is rooted in her own awareness, not in someone else's explanation. The more she reflects, the more she realizes that she does not need a conversation to close the door. She needs confidence, clarity, and acceptance. A chosen woman also learns that closure is not forgetting, it is understanding. She acknowledges the pain without allowing it to control her. She recognizes the lessons without holding on to resentment. She forgives not to excuse the behavior, but to release herself from the emotional weight. She lets go of what she cannot change and embraces the healing she can create. She stops seeking justification from someone who was not equipped to love her properly and instead focuses on repairing her own heart with compassion and patience. She becomes her own source of peace, her own source of comfort, her own source of clarity. In creating her own closure, she rises into a stronger version of herself. She realizes that she is capable of healing her own wounds, rebuilding her own heart, and moving forward with dignity. She discovers the strength she always had but rarely used. She understands that closure is not something she waits for, it is something she becomes. She becomes the woman who no longer needs someone else to give her permission to heal, release, or move forward. She becomes the woman who chooses peace over pain, clarity over confusion, and self-respect over emotional dependence. Through this process, she reclaims her power and steps fully into the truth of who she is, carrying herself with the confidence and serenity that come from creating her own ending and honoring her own heart. When a man hurts a chosen woman, life begins a powerful rearrangement that affects both of them, but in very different ways. For her, the pain becomes a doorway to elevation. For him, it becomes a lesson he cannot escape. A chosen woman does not stay in the place where she was wounded. She grows beyond it. Her healing becomes the path that leads her into a higher season of purpose, clarity, and inner strength. But the man who wounded her does not walk away untouched. He steps into a season of consequences, not out of punishment, but out of the natural order of life. When he harms someone who was sent to bless him, support him, and elevate him, he distances himself from the very light that was meant to guide him. He begins to feel the absence of what he once took for granted. A chosen woman evolves through her pain. As she heals, her spirit expands, her vision sharpens, her intuition deepens. She starts to understand why certain chapters had to close, why certain people could not stay, and why certain endings were necessary for her growth. The more she rises, the more she sees that the hurt she endured was preparing her for something greater than the relationship she lost. She steps into a new beginning emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Her purpose begins to speak louder. She reconnects with parts of herself she silenced while trying to love someone who was not ready for the depth she carried. Her elevation is quiet but powerful. She becomes more grounded, more centered, more at peace. She becomes the woman she was always meant to be before the pain distracted her from her own potential. While she is rising, something entirely different is unfolding in the life of the man who hurt her. At first, he may not notice the shift. He may carry on as if nothing has changed. He may distract himself, convince himself he made the right choice, or try to fill the void with temporary comfort. But life has a way of revealing the truth when the noise fades. Slowly, he begins to feel the weight of her absence. The emotional support she offered, the wisdom she carried, the belief she had in him, all of it becomes noticeably missing. He starts to realize that the connection he had with her cannot be replicated. The peace he felt with her cannot be recreated. The alignment he experienced with her cannot be found with just anyone. He begins to understand that her presence in his life was not ordinary. It was spiritual. As his realization grows, so does his regret. He starts to see how her love anchored him, how her belief strengthened him, how her guidance protected him. He reflects on the moments he dismissed, the kindness he overlooked, the loyalty he didn't value. Life begins to show him that hurting a chosen woman comes with consequences, not out of revenge, but through natural spiritual law. When a man mishandles someone sent to bless him, he loses more than a relationship. He loses alignment, clarity, and direction. He may find himself repeating emotional cycles, facing unexpected obstacles, or experiencing a restlessness he cannot explain. The universe reflects back the energy he created. The hurt he caused becomes the pain he must learn through. Meanwhile, the woman he wounded continues to rise. She steps into opportunities she once felt unworthy of. She embraces dreams she once pushed aside. She finds peace that feels deeper than the chaos she left behind. She becomes more discerning with her heart, more protective of her spirit, more confident in her worth. Life elevates her because she learned from the pain instead of becoming controlled by it. She moves into new spaces with a strength that comes from surviving what tried to break her. She radiates a different kind of light, one that comes from healing, wisdom, and self-respect. This new version of herself is untouchable, aligned, and unstoppable. As she rises higher, the man who hurt her feels the distance growing between who she is becoming and who he chose to remain. He sees her evolving into the very woman he wasn't ready to honor. He witnesses her stepping into blessings he was meant to experience with her. He realizes that he didn't just lose a woman, he lost a destiny that was connected to her presence. Life teaches him the lesson he refused to learn when she was still giving him her heart. He begins to understand that when a man hurts a chosen woman, he does not break her, he breaks his own alignment with the blessing she carried. And while he is learning, she is rising. While he is regretting, she is rebuilding. While he is losing clarity, she is gaining purpose. Her elevation becomes the lesson he needed. His loss becomes the reward she never expected. As life unfolds, their paths separate, one moving upward, one learning from the consequences of turning away from something sacred. Through this shift, a chosen woman discovers her strength, and the man who hurt her discovers the truth he ran from, each experiencing exactly what life meant for them to face after the wound was created.